Last year, I lost 30 pounds by accident. Now, before you think this is a post or a video to make you feel worse about yourself, just give me a few minutes and I can promise you that it will do the opposite. In today's video, we're going to explore why and how this happened, and without the side effects, how you can do the same. A little bit about what the diet culture will have you believe, whether it should be fast or whether it should be slow, whether you should be pushing easy or hard in the gym, or whether that even truly matters. And lastly, the secret to sustainable long-term weight loss that lasts longer than a few weeks. And before we start, if you're new here, about 79% of you that watch this channel currently don't subscribe. So if you enjoy this video, or you've enjoyed any of the other videos that I've posted, then stick around, press the subscribe button, as it helps me out more than you realise. So let's get into it. So as someone who has struggled with on and off diets since probably the age of about 13, 14, losing 30 pounds by accident was not really something that I thought I would ever say. Now, before I go into exactly how and why this happened, I first of all want to talk about the diet culture and what is kind of flawed about the whole thing. So first off, everyone's preaching all their certain methods, whether they're following a carnivore diet, a ketogenic diet, looking at their insulin spikes, just insert the name of said diet, and then just insert a product below, and then that's the person's agenda. In today's video, I'm just going to give you a framework of things to follow that is really going to help your diet, whatever your diet is and what it consists of, to really just help you try and manage this without having to follow someone else's approach. And number two is, quite honestly, where I feel as if a lot of people go wrong is that they focus so highly on the gym or their workouts or even their steps, and that's where they adopt this all or nothing mentality. When in actual fact, the majority of people's results is going to come down to the nutrition. At the end of the day, it's all about calories in, calories out. I've got several videos overviewing this. I'll not spend too long talking about that today. But people do want fast results, and they think the next and the first logical step is to get themselves smashed in the gym. And believe it or not, I'm actually not against fast results to get a bit of quick momentum. What I'm against is what follows that quick momentum, is when people fall off because it was just too hard, too fast, too soon. They stole the car. So with limited energy, if you're a busy person, chances are what you're going to want to have to do is look at the lowest hanging fruit, the path of least resistance. And for a lot of you, that isn't going to be 5-6 days in the gym. If you're already doing that, then perfect. Sort out your diet anyway. But regardless of what training modality you're doing, whether you're going to classes, whether you've got an in-person personal trainer who's putting you through your paces, whether you're lifting heavy in the gym and you're trying to progress your weights, or even if you're throwing a few punches, all of that is completely irrelevant until you sort out your nutrition. So I'm going to explain why. So point 3 is really just the secret to sustainable weight loss. As long as you're a human and not an AI, you have 2 signals to the brain. You're hungry or you're not hungry. These are called ghrelin and leptin. And I'm going to take a pretty morbid example to try and help you visualize this. Let's just say someone who has a gastric band or a balloon inserted, or even the most recent trend, Ozempic. The biggest thing that they do is reduce their hunger, and they reduce their hunger from the first 2 cases by limiting the amount of food that goes into the stomach. But we can actually do that without any drastic surgeries. And Ozempic's a little bit different, and I probably will go into this in a separate video, but that also reduces the hunger or the willingness or want to eat, because regardless of who you are, it does come down to calories in, calories out. But the next thing that I'm going to tell you about is probably going to be quite shocking for some of you, because the whole diet culture is around eating less and moving more, when in actual fact, there's something wrong with that saying. It's not actually about eating less. Less calories, sure. But the secret to dieting sustainably is eating more food. Everyone has to create a calorie deficit. I'm pretty sure we all know that. Well, maybe not, but that's what has to happen. But eating more food is the secret to weight loss. So how do we do that without stacking up our calories? So I'm going to show you this visual here of one stomach with a gastric band and how that reduces the amount of room that you've got for you to get hungry because you're filling the stomach up. I'm going to look at the other one, which has got a balloon inserted, and I understand these are extreme measures, but it will help you visualize it. And then the last one is where you filled yourself up with nutrient-dense foods like veg. Again, this doesn't need to be tasteless veg. So how did this happen to me, and how was it by accident? So I'm going to give you a few working examples of how you can do this at the end. And the reason why I kept this part to the end was because this isn't something that I would advocate for, because it was by accident and not in a way that you might think. Whenever I get diagnosed with ADHD, I get put on ADHD medication. And in all honesty, they put my dosage up probably far too high. And in actual fact, what ADHD medication is stimulant. So let's just take caffeine for an example as a stimulant. That reduces your hunger, reduces your appetite. But ADHD medication is basically amphetamines that they give you through the NHS, which is a bit mental. But they do work in the short term, but they also have the side effects of a massive loss of appetite. It's like caffeine on steroids, especially if you're on too high a dose. So now that I've came down my dose, my appetite has come back. It's not quite where I was, where I was able to do 10,000 calorie challenges, etc. But it's still pretty big. So what's the common theme here? It's not to take ADHD medication to lose weight or stimulants. It's that a lot of this comes down to our body and our brain and the signals to do with hunger and cravings. And the best and only way to keep this at bay is to kind of look at your stomach like something you want to fill up with food that isn't going to break the bank of calories, and save the rest of the room for stuff that you really enjoy so that you can still satisfy a craving. Now, I'm going to give you a few examples of something that is the same but different. If you want the full rundown of this video, you can go down below, but I'll just give you a few examples that I've done with clients. Let's take a classic fry up, which is about 1,500 calories with all the trimmings. If you were to take that same fry up, make a few appropriate swaps, leaner sausages, less oil, packet full of veggies like mushrooms, tomatoes, etc. The volume on the plate is the same, if not more, but a third of the calories. Another example of this is my Achilles heel personally. It's crisps and dip, sour cream and chai to be precise. A packet of sensations, once they're opened, they're getting finished. You're looking at 1,200 plus calories for something like that. And for a lot of people, that's a couple of days of a deficit. Whereas if you make an appropriate swap with this, with something that's higher in volume, and still is pretty much the same, like switching it for some pop chips with some salsa. The difference that makes to your stomach and your hunger cravings is monumental. You can even throw in some veg and stuff to up the volume even more. And as soon as you start eating this way, you'll wonder why you didn't. Because going into this restrictive mindset of eating less and restricting yourself is where a lot of people go wrong. Another really easy example is you take your classic portion of rice, cut that in half, and add in overcooked broccoli and cauliflower and mix that through the rice. You'll probably not even notice a difference, but you've literally just halved the calories because there's really nothing in these. And here's a couple of client examples. Let's take Sam, was prone to McDonald's McSpicy meal, stacking up over 1,200 calories. We took that same similar approach and we swapped it with something that was pretty much the same, similar volume, and saved him hundreds of calories. Ashley's weekends used to look like a carbonara, a packet of sensations, and a couple of bottles of Prosecco. Now we kept a couple of bottles of Prosecco in because that had to stay. Made them mini bottles and added in a Polo Milanese, saving her over 2,000 calories. Now, it's all about what's worth it. Being able to make these appropriate swaps without overhauling your diet overnight is the key to longevity. That and managing your hunger cravings. If you swap the food that you currently enjoy with stuff that's higher in protein and lower in calories, but higher in volume, I can promise you that it will not feel like you're dieting anywhere near as hard, and the result will be a lot easier to sustain. Now, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. You know what to do. Like, subscribe, whatever, if you enjoyed it. Some free stuff and some coaching, etc. down below if you're looking for some help. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.